Welcome back to Everyone Has a Story.
True tales from everyday life.
We're so glad you're here. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Jim. If you're new around or you're a regular, we'd like to invite you to come sit down at the kitchen table and us talk for a while.
Well, this is new, having us both here together at the same time. But we have some very exciting news regarding the direction of our channel and some things that are going to be upcoming. And we wanted to be here together to talk to you about it.
It's always been our intent to bring everyone's stories to our channel, not just ours. Now that we have our feet wet on YouTube, it's time to turn our cameras on you and to record your stories.
We're going to be expanding our content to include interviews of everyday people with extraordinary stories to tell. Now, these people may not be well known or famous to the whole world, but in their communities and their friends and family, they're something special. Their communities think so, their friends and family think so, we think so. And we know that you're going to be thinking that as well once you hear their stories. And we really are so anxious to share them with you.
As you know, we really believe that everyone has a story. We also believe that through the telling of these stories, there's a huge potential for learning and connecting and growing.
We never cease to be amazed by the things that we learn from just talking to everyday people, people that we know already very well, and people that we just happen to meet at random on the street, in a restaurant, in the grocery store.
Right.
These people have extraordinary stories to tell, every single one of them. And you know, what's really interesting is that a lot of the times, most of the times really, they don't think that they're really anything very interesting, that they just have stories like everyday people, and that is not really enough to warrant excitement. But you know, we never cease to be amazed. It's
extraordinary.
Yeah.
You know, and inevitably, when they start to open up, they really are sharing their stories with us and their experiences. And for us, it's quite engaging. And I'm certain that for you, it's going to be equally engaging. We'd like to share these stories from the people we've met in everyday events, you know, happenstance, like Kelly was saying, in the grocery store, whatever. And these are everyday people with extraordinary tales to share. But first,
we have 2 more Jim and Kelly stories to share with you.
Wow.
These are going to be in the new form of the interview style that we're going to be bringing to you from this point forward. And the first week, starting next week, is going to be an interview with our Jimmy himself, where you're going to get to learn quite a bit more about him. You think you know quite a bit so far from the stories that he's had to tell, but believe me, there's more to tell, and we're going to bring that to you next week.
And the following week, we're going to be talking with you, Kelly.
Right.
We're going to explore your life and how you got from Slavic Village to Cave Creek, Arizona, and everything in between.
Right. In the meantime, we thought you might be interested in learning how Jimmy met Kelly. And so in this video, we'd like to share just briefly a little bit with you about how we met, how we started to do business together, and how we got from Northern and Southern Ohio, having met in Columbus, to Cave Creek, Arizona, and doing YouTube videos.
It was an extraordinary event that I was invited to by Tammy Morton, one of the professional speakers at the NSA Ohio showcase, speaker showcase. Mm-hmm. They had some dynamic speakers there that week, and I came all the way up from Southern Ohio to Columbus. You know, for a country boy, that's a big trip. And got there, and as I walked in, I was greeted by Miss Kelly right here.
Yeah,
she was
right.
What were you doing?
I had volunteered. I was new to NSA as well. Not the NSA you guys might be thinking about.
We don't spy on you.
No, this is National Speakers Association, NSA, and this was the Ohio chapter. And I was new there also. I had been considering joining and had decided to do so. So I was just a very, very beginning member. And you know how beginning members go. They do a lot of volunteering and a lot of work that needs to be done that some of the higher ups, because they're busy doing other more important things. Right. So I was one of the greeters, and Jim and I met literally at a speaker showcase in Columbus, Ohio. I was a volunteer and you were a guest.
That's true. When I met you, Kelly, you were a speaker. You were a professional speaker. You had got your membership in NSA Ohio chapter, and you were doing what you were doing. But someone told you that you had to have a book.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, how did that all go down?
Yeah, it was right around the time that I met Jim that someone from National Speakers Association said, if you're going to be a professional speaker, you've got to have a book. And I said, a book? A book about what? I don't have any idea how to write a book. What would I write a book about? Enter Jimmy.
I had been teaching a boot camp in Southern Ohio on how to write your hidden book within. We were really successful, and we're having a lot of good people writing new books. And when Kelly said she needed to learn how to write a book, I said, I can help her. I had a 3-ring binder. That's how we used to teach, with a 3-ring binder, and everyone would have their binder, and we would go through it in the boot camp. So I just laid a binder down on the desk in front of her and says, here, follow this, and in 30 days, you will have published your book. And what happened?
Well, I thought, what the heck? What do I have to lose? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. So if someone knows what he's doing, I'm going to follow what he said. And I did. I actually went through that system step by step, and 30 days to the day after I started writing the book, I had the published book in my hand. And so this was the very first venture on my own into being an author, and I was really proud of myself. And if you're curious, this is the system. And stay tuned as we go along. You might be hearing more about this system as the channel progresses, if you're interested in, well, telling your own story. But here's the system. There's my book, and that was the start of Jimmy and Kelly.
And a great start it was.
Absolutely.
And I thank you very much.
And I thank you.
All right.
And so from there, we started to do these hidden book within classes together, because we decided that, well, I was good at the marketing part and Jimmy was good at the authoring part. And if we put those two together, we could help people not only write their books, but market their books as well, go through the entire system.
Well, one means like 2 peas in a pod,
right,
close together, like we all should be as human beings.
Together.
And so we have carried that concept through into other parts of our business, into our book writing, into our lectures, and on our YouTube channel. And it's really important that we keep this in mind, that we are together in all of this. And so that's how WeWan got born. The WeWan Institute was originated with the concept of being a central repository of the wisdom of the first people around the world. And that repository is growing, and every day we get new stories from other people that want to share these their stories, their wisdom. Right now we're in communication with someone from what part of Africa?
Zimbabwe.
And we have a friend in Paris, France, and we have people stretched around
Bali and Java and
yeah. And all this first person's interviews are going to be coming along with this. That being said, as we created the WeWan Institute and we grew, COVID happened.
Yes, the C word. The word that changed everyone's lives a few years ago. And a few years before that, we had moved from Ohio to Arizona with 3 adults and 3 cats. And we had quite a change in our lifestyle, and we were reestablishing our business in Arizona, having moved cross country, had written a couple new books, redid View from the Medicine Lodge and,
Yes.
and updated that one. And just as we were getting back into, looking for speaking events, etc., the C word happened. And that was at the beginning of 2020, as we all know, and we don't need to be reminded about that. But we were all stuck in the house at that time. And we decided, well, I guess we're going to start on the next book. And so as we were starting to write the next book, which was one of the Quiet Moments meditation books, we started telling stories about our families and how how each of our families had gone through hard times and how they had managed it, and lessons that we'd learned from our elders.
And from that, we said, well, if we're going to talk about it, let's share it. And so we
Right.
wrote a book. And the book was this one.
Right? Grandma was a kitchen healer and Grandpa grew roses. It was a compilation of the stories that we were telling each other at that time. And we realized we were hearing from our friends and family how isolated everyone was, and they were feeling alone and separated from their families. And it was just not a good time emotionally for anyone. So we thought that maybe a compilation of these family stories would be uplifting and would put a smile on people's face and maybe make you cry, but it'll definitely make you laugh, and it'll make you remember how important family is to all of us. And so that was how the book was written. But by the time COVID was over, our speaking business was...
It evaporated.
Yeah.
We couldn't meet in public for like 2.5, 3 years. And then people were still fearful of meeting in public, the 6-foot rule and the masking and all of that. And it just made it really impossible to get a good footprint back into motivational speaking on the platform.
Right.
So we decided to take our book and segue it into what we're doing today.
We started last July, and we are in our 8th month.
Doing phenomenal.
This is our 35th video. We're knocking on the door of 100 subscribers, which seems so small to most people, I know, but to us it is a huge milestone, and we're just approaching 10,000 lifetime views, and we're really excited. And now, like we said, it's time to turn the camera from our stories to your stories. And so starting on March 8th, the first interviews we're going to be bringing to you are about a catastrophic dam failure event that happened in California in the last century. And the woman who is spearheading a memorial project for that, who also, by the way, happens to have her own amazing life story. So that's going to be a 2-part interview, and that will be first up. And then after that...
And then we're going to do an episode about a riverboat captain. His dad was a riverboat captain, and his family worked on the rivers of the United States. And it's a great story. We're also going to talk about the tragedy of a toxic gas leak that changed his life forever.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a heartbreaking story, but the history in his family, you're going to really love it. It's amazing. We can't wait to bring that one to you. And then we're going to bring you an interview with a local realtor who does amazing things in the Phoenix area as far as real estate goes. But one of the most heartwarming parts of her life is her connection with Honor Flight and helping to bring veterans to Washington, D.C. to see war memorials and our nation's capital. And her work is just tireless and so committed, and it really is heartwarming. And that's just the beginning. We have so many people on our list that we are going to be interviewing and bringing you their stories. And we hope and we know that you will find these as extraordinary as we do.
Absolutely. The list of people that we already have planned to contact and to work with, it's going to be a broad spectrum of the people throughout the United States right now, and we're going to expand it around the world very quickly.
And just a note, if you are an everyday person who has an extraordinary tale to tell, look down below and get our contact information. It's always in the description. Get in touch with us and tell us that you have a story that you would love to tell everyone.
Yes.
And we are very much interested in speaking to you. So don't be shy. Camera's turning on you now.
It's your turn. We want to thank each and every one of you who have spent some time watching and listening to our stories. And so far, we've had a great amount of fun producing them for you. And as we said, we have a lot more to share.
We love to tell stories.
Yeah, we do love to tell stories. And the best part is they're true tales from everyday life.
So if you think that you are interested in hearing more extraordinary tales from everyday people, besides just us, stay tuned for weeks coming up. And if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. It really does help us a lot. And if
It
you have
helps us grow.
It helps us grow, and it helps the algorithm share these videos to other people so that they can look at these videos as well.
And I want to do a special shout out to our 96 subscribers right now and the community we're developing, where the conversation about different things are going on between each other and between us. We appreciate that, and we encourage that to continue, because it's all about community. It's all about WeWan, two peas in a pod together.
Absolutely. Community is everything on YouTube, and you are the major part of that. So thank you so much for being here. Thanks for everyone who's been watching the video so far, and we hope you're as excited about what's coming up as we are. So here's to sitting around the kitchen table and telling stories. We hope you'll join us again next week when we talk to Jimmy and get his life story. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Jim.
And this is Everyone Has a Story.
True
True
Tales
Tales from Everyday Life.